Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Eldora, there was a prince named Alden who was known not for his bravery in battle or his charm at royal banquets but for his silence. From the day he was born, Alden had never spoken a single word. Some believed he was cursed, others thought he simply chose silence. But no one knew the truth. In a neighboring kingdom lived a princess named Lyra, known for her adventurous spirit and her kind heart. She had tamed wild horses, navigated treacherous rivers, and climbed mountains others feared to touch. But what Lyra longed for most was someone who understood the quiet parts of her soul. One day, an invitation arrived from Eldora. A grand ball was to be held to celebrate the kingdom's peace. Though Lyra wasn't one for grand parties, something about the invitation intrigued her, and she decided to attend. The ball was splendid, filled with glittering chandeliers, elegant gowns, and lively music. But in the middle of it all stood Prince Alden, alone by the grand balcony, watching the stars in silence. While others danced and laughed, he simply gazed at the sky. Princess Lyra, curious and drawn to his stillness, walked out onto the balcony. "Why aren't you dancing?" she asked, her voice gentle. Alden turned, surprised. Most people ignored him, thinking he had nothing to say. He smiled softly and shrugged. Lyra chuckled. "Not a fan of parties either," she leaned against the railing beside him. "You know, the stars seem brighter here." Alden nodded and pointed to a particular star that gleamed with an unusual golden hue. "That one's my favorite," Lyra whispered. "I call it the Traveler's Star. Whenever I'm lost, I look for it." Alden's eyes widened in recognition, as if he'd found something he hadn't realized he was searching for. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small journal. With careful handwriting, he wrote, "I watch that star too." Lyra smiled as she read his words. "Maybe that's why I'm here," she said softly. The hours passed as they shared thoughts through Alden's journal, stories of faraway places, dreams of freedom, and quiet hopes that no one else had ever asked about. Lyra found herself enchanted, not by his silence, but by the depth of his heart. As the night drew to a close, Alden hesitated before writing again, "I was born silent, but you make me feel heard." Lyra's heart fluttered. "And you make me feel understood," she whispered. Before she left, Alden reached out and placed a simple silver ring in her hand. Inside was engraved a single word, "Stay." Lyra smiled. "I will." In the weeks that followed, she returned to Eldora, not for the royal banquets, but for quiet walks under the stars and shared pages filled with unspoken thoughts. One evening, as they sat beneath the Traveler's Star, Lyra turned to Alden. "You don't need words for me to understand you. But if you ever want to try, I'm listening." Alden looked into her eyes, and for the first time in his life, he took a deep breath and spoke a single word, "Lyra." Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." The stars shimmered above them as they shared their first kiss, soft, warm, and full of every unspoken promise. And though Alden never became a man of many words, he spoke freely to Lyra, for she had unlocked the voice that had always been there, waiting to be heard. Together, the silent prince and the brave princess wrote their own story, one of love, quiet courage, and constellations that forever guided their hearts.